We need to have a standalone sustainable development goal in order to bring the world's attention to the fact that cities are the drivers of our economy. Cities hold the greatest potential for dealing with climate change, and because cities' populations are dominant. Let me give you a few facts that will underline this idea. Drivers of the economy: 80% of the world's global GDP is produced by cities. 2, climate change: 70 to 80% of the world's energy is consumed in cities, and 70 to 80% of the greenhouse gases are produced by cities. And lastly, population. Today, 54% of the global population lives in cities, and in 15 years or so, it's probably going to be 2/3, 66%. So in all accounts, cities have the power, the numbers, and the potential for being important solutions for some of the problems, as well as the source of prosperity for the billions of people who live in them. The biggest challenge, I believe, is to find the sweet spot between nations, regions, and local authorities, because there has to be a distribution of power and revenues and responsibilities among these 3 levels of government to undertake the kinds of things that we have to do to implement the SDGs. I just gave you some rather nice statistics about cities and how important they were to the world's GDP, but I didn't give you another piece of that statistic, which is 60% of the world's GDP is produced by 600 cities. Now, we have more than 600 cities in the world. We have 4,000 at least, over 100,000 or more, and that means while they're contributing, they're not contributing the lion's share. And our question is, and will be the question, this will be the question to the nations who will be voting on these SDGs: why not? And what do we need to make them more contributory? And the whole point of the standalone goal on cities is to reinforce the ability of cities to do what they can do, but also bring attention to the fact that there are various things in housing, transportation, the environment that we need to address in order to make cities fulfill their potential. Number one, a year ago, no one thought there would be even a mention of cities in the SDGs. And thanks to the work of Arrow and Cynthia and a whole lot of other people, we have, at this point, a proposal for the SDGs, and right smack in the middle of it is a standalone goal on cities. What was magical about this process was the goodwill and the intelligence of the people sitting around the table. We had a very intense set of meetings. No one flagged, and everyone was willing to work on various pieces of this refashioning, simplification, and clarification of the targets in ways where they were able to express their opinions, yet at the same time listen very carefully of others. And it was the most wonderful example of consensus building that I've seen in many a year.